Good morning, it's Gemma. Yeah, it's just gone 9 o'clock in the morning, way past the time that I like to come out, but I'm too busy now in the mornings to do anything different. I wanted to come out because I don't know whether you can see those rain clouds over there. It's supposed to just be 15 degrees today with showers, so I thought, well, it's nice weather for me to come out in. Should really have bought my tarp in case it rains hard, but I've just bought the poncho instead. Oh, I can breathe now. So I get so relieved when I just step out of the house, because from a perspective of my OCD, like the checking and everything, it's just, I have so many things to check, and it's so bad I have to photograph things just so I can remind myself that I've switched things off. And my short-term memory's shot with menopause. It's like, yeah, it's just when I've been through all my routines, I can breathe a huge sigh of relief when I come out. And I'm just grateful that my checking compulsions haven't got any worse, amazingly. So it's more the contamination side that I can't deal with that's triggering me the most. But having said that, it's just, the checking is exhausting, but it's something that I've lived with for 20 years, so kind of, it's just part of who I am now, you know. So today is just going to be another mindful walk in the woods, and I've bought some soup, some bubble and squeak, and what was the other one? Sage and onion stuffing from Christmas. It's all frozen. I've made about 4 meals today already. One for myself and a couple for 3 for Jan. I enjoy it. I really enjoy cooking. It's about a year ago I got a voluntary job in an industrial kitchen at the Felix project, which is it's a bigger scale project than the one that I utilise. At the moment they rescue food from being put in, you know, just in the dump and then they cook it up. They make meals out of it for disadvantaged charity, you know, families and people and associated charities. Great project, but I did one shift in the kitchen. I couldn't handle it. I just couldn't handle the people all around me. Couldn't handle the knives everywhere. I think living somewhere where there's high knife crime, and especially since 2024, when just around the corner from where I live, some psycho with a sword just got off the train. It's just around the corner from the Peace Garden, actually, and just randomly broke into people's houses, brandishing this sword. Woke up a young family that was still in bed, a husband and wife and their child. Attacked the husband, tried to kill them. Amazingly didn't. The husband suffered a lot of defensive wounds. And then he went outside, and there was a 14-year-old kid walking to school. He chopped his head off with his sword. He decapitated this 14-year-old boy. And then the police caught up with him, and he really injured a policewoman's hand and arm. It's just unbelievable. And since then, I've just, when it's on your doorstep, it brings it home. And since then, it's always in the back of my mind, like when I queue up at Zero Waste, I think, is somebody going to start losing it and stab us all? So it's partly why I want to move up to Scotland. And in 2024, when I went to Aberdeen, that was literally days after was it Southport or Stockport? I think it's, I don't know, Southport, isn't it? The stabbings of those little girls, 3 little girls stabbed to death in a dance class. That had just happened. But I got off the train in Aberdeen, and it's not to say that crime doesn't happen in Scotland, but it's a lot lower chance of things like that happening. But anyway, getting back to the kitchen, I just can't handle people in my space at the best of times, which is a shame. So I couldn't do that, but doesn't stop me enjoying cooking in the kitchen. So I'm talking about my OCD today because I think it's Mental Health Awareness Month, and I've experienced so much invalidation over this chronic illness, disability that I've got, and nobody takes it seriously. It's like, oh, a little bit OCD. I hate that. I mean, it's fucking, for people that actually suffer from it, it's a 24/7 24/7 disorder. Really debilitating. And I'm not a tidy freak. Just want to educate people. I like things clean and tidy, but I'm not obsessive about, how many pairs of pants I've got in the drawer and if they're in a line and everything. That kind of thing. It's more intrusive thoughts for me. apart from apart from the checking thing. But I've come an awful long way in my healing journey. It's 10 years since I started my self-directed journey towards healing from OCD and PTSD. It's kind of like complex post-traumatic stress disorder that I've got. But I've gone from not being able to walk down the street without reassurance to doing what I do now, you know. A lot of women and men can't believe that I do solo camping. Been met with quite a lot of sort of, oh, you silly cow, you're inviting danger. But I'm not stupid. I'm pretty streetwise, actually. So I listen to my gut, and if anything ever feels off, I'm very intuitive. I just leave, I get up and leave. And doing this has been a real milestone in my recovery. It's been about reclaiming my right to my space, my right to be in the world of predatory males in particular. I'm safer in the outdoors than I ever was in my own bedroom as a kid. So, yeah. I've also written a blog that's 10 years old about my journey towards healing, and you're never fully healed. It's a process, and you kind of obviously circumstances affect your ability to deal with things. And you kind of think, oh, I'm on top of that, and then, like, my self-harm has reared its ugly head again recently. Touch wood. Touch wood. I'm okay at the moment. I think since I've had a bit more, just 4 hours off a week, it's made a huge difference. Just that I can go somewhere and completely relax. Because I trust this person. We don't particularly like each other, but she's Jan's friend. And apparently numerous people have put in safeguarding for me, and at last it seems to be taken seriously. The last one was London Ambulance. And just saying that I'd sort of reached the tipping point at that stage back in, when was it? February, March. Won't go into details, but I'm dreading next Thursday. I'm having to deal with this key worker, social worker guy of Jan's, who he doesn't listen. I can't get a complete sentence out. And when I do speak, it's, oh, you're aggressive, oh, you're argumentative. Can't just be that I'm sticking up for myself. you know? And I don't feel safe around him. I'm dreading it. And I asked for a female. So he's requested that, and he asked me all about my history of sexual abuse, and I thought, what the fuck's that got to do with this situation? And asked me if I'd been sectioned, which I haven't, but it's something I'm terrified of, because it's easier for the system to blame the scapegoat with no backup, isn't it, than actually to actually get their arse in gear, take some accountability and deal with the situation. I said, look, my distress is purely situational. So I'm just dreading it, but I'm good at protecting my mental health. I literally just, if I don't feel safe with somebody, I just walk away, or I put the phone down. And that's what I'll do in this situation. So, and he assured me that I should be able to step back, and there'd be people coming in 4 times a day, which that in itself, it will enable me to go out a bit more and be a bit more reassurance. But then that people in my space all the day, not being able to establish any routine, is going to be an absolute nightmare. Because I'm one for routine, quite good at managing change, but on a daily basis I need some kind of stability and routine. And it's impossible to achieve that at the moment. And I said to him, look, you're going to have to get something in place for when I leave, if I leave. And I said, I'm prioritising my safety and security, and if I'm offered somewhere to live, I'm going to take it. So you better get your arse in gear. And then, we don't want to put her into a home. And so it's not about putting her in a home. I don't want that for her, because the animals keep us both going. But I'm not going to be the one that sacrifices my future when I've got nobody to, no family, no mother and father to sort of run to. Save somebody else who's I'm not even together. We're not even together anymore, It's a toxic relationship. But not without so many mixed emotions, so destructive in lots of ways. But I still care. And that's something I've had to come to terms with. But I care about my well-being more now. So, it's really nice today. It's not too hot. Yeah. It takes me a long time to process things, conversations, study. Partly because of my brain damage, and it is brain damage. OCD can cause changes in the brain, and actually for some people the next stage is dementia. So for all anybody knows, I could have dementia as well as Jan. So yeah, and you sort of question yourself, oh, so even though I don't like being around people, generally I'm very happy with my own company. I know I actually made a conscious decision never to need anybody again during the pandemic, just to be like totally self-sufficient. And what I learned from that was it's not the answer. Isolation is not the answer. And there is a side to me that cares very much about people, but I don't trust myself, I don't trust others. I can't trust whether what I'm feeling is real or a symptom of my disorders, you know. And it just messes me up inside. Which is why I do things like this. And I know that I can be too much. I've just never been anybody but myself. Never known how to be anybody. Never worn a mask. Don't follow social norms. Just myself. And sometimes I'm not aware that, oh no, you don't talk about that, that's off limits. Don't talk about things like that. I can be intense and a nightmare. And with most people, that's all right, but occasionally you'll come across somebody and you feel quite instant, deep connection with. And you think, is that limerence or real or whatever? And that in itself is a head fuck. So yeah, I'm either all in with people or I'm all out. Not much in between, apart from this kind of activity. And yeah, now it's starting to cloud over a bit, so it's not been very mindful of my surroundings, have I, thus far, but it's been more of a chat, and it's better out than in. Better out than in. So otherwise you just store it in your body and causes all kinds of problems. Right. Apparently these leaves that I showed you the other day are maple leaves, according to Evelyn, who's she should know because she's Canadian. So that was really nice. There's I think the three key people that are keeping me sane at the moment are Canadians. So yeah, that was nice. Bit of synchronicity there. Just made my cup of tea. It's really nice here. Bought some warm clothes out today, so hopefully it won't freeze like last time. Yeah, sorry for anybody that hasn't watched my videos before or doesn't know what's been going on in my life recently. I'm primary carer for my ex-partner who has dementia, which is fairly advanced. So that's kind of, when I'm talking about social workers and things like that, that's what I'm referring to. That's the situation that I'm referring to. So I'm also learning a lot about myself in this role. I mean, I've had care jobs before, but it's sort of, and I never thought I was particularly maternal, never wanted kids. At all. But to all intents and purposes, Jan is, she's kind of like a child again. And I feel protective and, yeah, like a sort of mothering instinct. I mean, I suppose I do mother people. Doesn't matter if they're older than me or whatever. I do have this mothering quality about me. It's partly that's just who I am. Partly at the moment, it's a bit of a defense mechanism against looking at my own shit, as I do genuinely care about certain people, and the planet and everything. But I need to be looking after myself, and that is the hardest thing I've ever done, actually, is to just fight for my life, really, fight for my sanity and my physical existence. And I'm still going on with this bloody assignment, even though I said I was giving it up. But I've put so much work in, and you against the odds, I managed to go to all the lectures and do the little tasks and things like that, and enjoyed it. And I just want to kind of achieve it because it's paid for. So I did you have to find some technical terms within this paper, 3 of them, and then define them, direct quote definitions from peer-reviewed sources, 3 of them. And that's taken a long time because I've never done Harvard referencing before, and there's different methods of in text citations, like if you've got a quote that's more than 40 words long, it's supposed to be in a block, single spaced. You know, and the punctuation at the end is different from how it would be if it was kind of a continuous, you know, less than 40, the reference was less than 40 words, and it's like continuous within the text. So, and the guidance they've given us contradicts itself, and then I go on to ask Google and it says something else. So yeah, that's taken me ages, but I've done the definitions, and I've just got to, the next task is to put them into my own words, which in theory should be not a problem because I love words and I'm a poet and stuff. But you have to know your stuff, and I'm a bit paranoid about plagiarism. I wouldn't knowingly do it, but you have to put your work through this plagiarism checker now. It just spits it out back at you if it picks anything up. So yeah, so I'm going to try and do that today. But I mean, I've got 8 weeks and a few days, I think, but I have to sort of scratch 4 weeks of that, because 2 weeks, I'm just 2 weeks of the month. It's a bit of a lottery whether I can actually function with my physical health and things. And God knows what's going to happen in the future with the caring. And so I suppose it's just something I'm learning, and I love learning. So I'm learning something new every time I sit down, and it's not been a waste of time at all. I've learned a lot of new skills, and yeah. So yabbering on, my tea's getting cold and I'm hungry. I actually think my friend Evelyn is Irish, so I'm sorry, Evelyn, if I got that wrong. I think you told me that you were born in Ireland, but you live in Canada now. Oh, pardon me. Yeah, so sorry if I got that wrong. I'm having Yorkshire provender, tomato and red pepper with Wensleydale soup, Yorkshire cheese. Yorkshire is somewhere I'd like to spend more time. I have been there. I like Yorkshire people. I like people from up north. I'm actually from Birmingham. I'm a Brummie. You can probably hear it in my accent. I've lost it a bit over the years. My grandma didn't approve. So that was like, and it's a pretty awful accent. I don't like it very much. Yeah, my grandma didn't approve, and then I worked when I went to university. I went to university in Chichester, which is a very upper class town in the south, and I worked at the Festival Theatre for how many years? Many years. I loved it. I was so happy, but I was very aware that, again, people used to comment on my accent, and I've kind of consciously tried to get rid of it. But people can always tell that I'm a Brummie. I'm not ashamed from coming from Birmingham at all. It's just I don't like the accent very much. Yeah, I haven't been up to Birmingham for, when was the last time? 2011, I think. I was playing at the Birmingham Jazz Festival. Can't remember who with. yeah. Yeah, it's really lovely here. I just heard somebody singing, some man singing at the top of his voice, and that freaked me out a bit, but seems to have stopped. There's a lot of insects. As long as they don't bite me, I don't really care. Yeah, I'm knackered. So by the time I get home, that's when I'm supposed to do my college work, but often I'm just too tired. But I always try and do a little bit a day, and once I make a commitment, I stick to it. Even if it's just reading 2 lines, that in my book is done something. So, yeah. Soup's done. And I've got some super seeded sourdough bloomer. So I'll have that with it. Looking forward to that. Well, that was amazing. Really nice. I can hear this guy singing again, and I don't feel safe. This is an example of a situation where I don't feel that I want to be here anymore, so I'm not going to be. I'm going to get up and I'm going to leave. I've just seen a lady who I often see here, Indian lady. I think she's a little bit like me because she has these she walks, I've mentioned this before in my videos, but she walks along here, the main path, and then she comes down here in a straight line to the end, and she stops, she turns around and she walks back, and she carries on, and she says hello to me now. She said, "Oh, are you having a nice time?" I said, "Yes, really nice time." And she's doesn't feel sorry for me like a lot of people do. We both have an understanding of how wonderful these woods are. And she's been coming for years and brought her kids up in these woods. But yeah, she strikes me as somebody that has her little ways. So yeah. Right, let's pack up. Oh, I've got out of there fast. No sign of this particular gentleman that's singing loudly. Probably totally innocent, but didn't feel comfortable. So yeah, I've just picked up some litter in a green plastic bag, but I think it's got a poo in it. I was going to just put it back down again, so obviously I don't want to walk around with a poo in a bag. Dog poo, that is, hopefully. I'm not too far from the bin. I don't know why people pick up a dog poo, put it in a poo bag, and then throw it in the bush or throw it on the ground. Why bother picking it up in the first place? We're in a forest, for God's sake. I've just seen a lovely dog he had a tennis ball and about 6 sticks in his mouth. That was cute. Quite an intriguing tree stump. Yeah, just continuing my talk about mental illness and being open about mine for Mental Health Awareness Month. It's I know exactly where my OCD originates from, and it's rooted from, there was an incident, or 2 specific incidents that happened fairly close to each other. The first one was, I'm a qualified hypnotherapist, never practiced, but in my training for that we had to do peer-to-peer guided meditations, and I was guided into a house that sort of had shit on the walls, and it kind of unleashed a whole shitload of trauma about my sexual abuse. I was molested by my grandfather for 4 years, from between the age of 13 to 18, and I'd kind of lost a lot of memories. I have a big blank where my childhood is supposed to be. I remember what kind of went on, obviously, and unlike a lot of survivors, I remember in pretty vivid detail what happened. But I was very young at the time when this happened. This guided meditation, I was only in my 20s, didn't know what the fuck was going on, but it kind of, unleashed a whole load of subconscious stuff. And at that time I used to engage in quite subconsciously, again, quite dangerous behaviour. I used to attract the wrong type of people, and I was sort of in denial about my sexuality at that point in my life. So I was still having like sexual encounters with men and everything. And then there was a specific encounter which wasn't actually with men, but I was taken advantage of again, and I thought I'd got AIDS, and that was at that time where HIV and AIDS, they were still finding they were still looking at medication treatments to keep people alive from that. At that time you could still die from HIV. I hadn't really been, there was already a very tiny chance that I could have contracted something like that, but I was paranoid. I really believed I was going to die. And so it makes sense that my OCD, that's where my OCD started, with the kind of obsessive thoughts. And turns out I didn't have HIV, but I was so believed I was going to die that I've never been able to recover from it. And yeah, and it's all about, and it's obvious kind of contamination when somebody's intruding on your personal space. When somebody invades your body, you feel contaminated. So that's kind of, it's all about trying to control my environment, to stop bad things happening, stop things getting into me, and and it's helped me to be aware of that and to know where it comes from. I've been in a relationship for nearly 20 years, and I've never kind of had any other encounters in that time. So that's all way in the past now, but yeah, it does kind of help to know the origins of your kind of like mental distress. Yeah. So some things you never recover from, and you just have to kind of learn to accommodate them in your life. And that's not easy. But I hope maybe somebody's benefited from hearing this, and I will put a trigger warning on the video for people that could be triggered by this. But I like to talk openly. I'm not ashamed about mental illness. It's not talked about enough. And I remember a guy last year, can't remember his channel's name now, but he, last summer he went camping. You wouldn't have picked up on his video that anything was amiss with him. And then the next day he topped himself, and it turns out that he couldn't live with his mental illnesses. He struggled with it. And I often wonder if people had felt more able to talk about this issue. and to feel that somebody understands, lives would be saved. So, yeah. So it hasn't turned out to be a very mindful walk, but I never plan what I'm going to talk about in these videos. It just kind of, sometimes I have a small idea, but most of the time it's just spontaneous. So that's what came out of me today. So thank you for watching, liking and subscribe if you would like to. I'd appreciate that. A channel called Siberian Naturalist. Enjoyed my last mindful walk here, so just a shout out to him. Some beautiful stuff on his channel, so check him out. Yeah, the greenery's sprung up. It's nearly as tall as me, if not taller, and I'm quite tall. So anyway, until next time, see you again soon. Bye.